So you're a kid growing up in a troubled household. Maybe your parents got divorced. Maybe your dad made you feel like you were never good enough for him. Whatever it is, your childhood left you with the feeling that the world neglected you. That just wait, I'm gonna make so much money and be so successful just to prove you all wrong. Because deep down, maybe your success will finally earn you the respect you crave from your parents. Or maybe you've been gifted with a high IQ. You're a super sharp guy, but due to circumstances, you never got your chance to move up the ladder in the legitimate world.
So what do you say? I could start tomorrow, or even why not tonight?
No.
Or maybe you're just an ordinary guy working an ordinary 9-to-5 job that has years of pent-up dreams that you never pursued, that has also been down on your luck lately. Whatever it is, you've come to the conclusion that getting the money and status you want in the legitimate world just isn't for you. It's too slow, too boring, it's for suckers.
The rest of us really are suckers.
You want to make your millions fast. After all, the ones at the top are far from honest, so why should I be honest? So you come across a few convenient opportunities where if you took advantage of said opportunity and made some quick cash, no one's gonna catch you. So you decide to convince people into giving you their money, or by profiting off of a loophole you found for some good old fraud. Why? Because
Fool and his money are lucky enough to get together in the first place.
But why?
Because if you're dumb enough to get tricked into giving me your money, then that's what you deserve. That's the circle of life. Because this is what the world deserves for turning its back on me. So now you find yourself in a new exhilarating profession. The profession of being a con man.
I'm amazed that what I did 50 years ago is thousands of times easier to do today due to technology.
But if you want to become a true con artist, not just another scumbag con man, it's gonna take some work. So how does this profession work? How do you think like a con artist? How do you best persuade suckers into parting with their money? Let's find out for educational purposes only. Seriously, don't con people and don't get conned.
Oh, this could never happen. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, there's just way too much information out there that today is so easy to do any of these things, and
It's so ripe for fraud. I'm just like, this is ridiculous.
That's why.
Every year, by the way, millions of American consumers, 7% of the population, are victims of some scam or fraud. And in 2017, there were 16.7 million victims of fraud who lost $16.8 billion.
As you're gonna learn, a great con artist is really just a great salesman. A great salesman that uses his sales skills for bad. But here's the thing. Sales is one of the most important skills you need in life no matter what job or business you're in. Want to land a new job? You're gonna have to sell your employer on why they need to hire you. Want to get a girlfriend? You're gonna have to sell her on why she should choose you. And as an entrepreneur, you're literally selling all the time. You're selling to your customers, your investors, your potential talent. You get the idea. So if you want to be successful in life, you're gonna have to get good at selling. And the book I extremely recommend for this is The Way of the Wolf by none other than Jordan Belfort, the real Wolf of Wall Street portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio. Which is where today's video sponsor comes in, Audible. A big part of sales is your tonality. How you modulate your voice for maximum persuasion.
By the time you read about it in the Wall Street Journal, it's already too late.
So with Audible, you can listen to not only what Jordan Belfort says in The Way of the Wolf, but how he says it, which is far more important, and it really epitomizes one of the advantages of audiobooks.
I'm one of those natural-born salesmen who can sell ice to an Eskimo, oil to an Arab, pork to a rabbi, or anything else you can think of.
I have been using Audible for years, and it has completely changed my life. And with their new Audible Plus plan, you get full access to their entire Plus catalog filled with thousands upon thousands of select audiobooks and more. And now happens to be the best time to try Audible Plus because of their holiday offer. You're getting the best offer of the year, only $4.95 a month for your first 6 months. And after, it's still only $7.95 a month. Pause the video right now and visit audible.com/JakeTrent or text JakeTrent to 500-500 to sign up now. The link is on the screen and in the video description below. Someone once said that there's no such thing as an honest man. He was probably a con man. Scams come and go. What worked yesterday might not work today. But even though the rackets are constantly changing, the mind of a con artist, the psychology of a criminal stays the same.
the one thing that stays the same, no matter how much technology is in the world, the criminal mind stays the same, thinks the same. It's the same scams that they did 50 years ago are the same scams today. They're just using another method to do it. So once you know all those scams, you know how they think. It's just a question of figuring out now how are they doing it.
But con artists do come in a few different forms. Maybe for you, you do it for the thrill of getting away, the perverse pleasure in screwing someone over, the adrenaline rush you get when you know that you outsmarted not just your mark, but law enforcement and society.
It's a huge thrill. You feel like James Bond.
The pleasure of presenting that fake ID, those documents, and watching your mark get overwhelmed with greed. The status you acquire from your deeds.
You walk into the bank and you provide them with fake ID, social security card, fake W-2s, fake pay stubs, and they're calling you Mr. Black the entire time, and then they cut you a check for $250,000 and you walk out of the bank and they thank you for being a great customer. I mean, that's 007 stuff. I mean, you feel amazing.
Or maybe for you, you're more of the Robin Hood style con artist. I'm not stealing from innocent people, I'm conning big banks, large greedy corporations. They're the ones actually screwing society. I'm just giving them what they deserve. No one's gonna get hurt. What's wrong with me making some money?
No scruples at all about taking money from the bank. Saw it as an institutional crime. I didn't see it as hurting anybody. What I stole, I felt like was a pittance.
Or maybe you're a true con artist. One of those highly intelligent types that doesn't just do it for the money.
It is not about the money. It's about the game between people. And that's all it is.
You're naturally cunning, manipulative, always looking for ways to come out on top. You look at crime just like how a mountain climber looks at a peak. It's there. Someone's gotta be successful at it. Why not let it be me? But whatever kind of con artist you are, all of them have three things in common, as explained by legendary con artist Frank Abagnale, who was also portrayed by Leonardo DiCaprio in the movie Catch Me If You Can. The first trait of a real con artist is personality, which we already went over. The second is observation. Do you see things only in black and white like typical smart, educated people do? Or do you see things in the gray? When someone tells you no or I can't do that, do you take that at face value? Or do you look for ways to maneuver around them to manipulate them into compliance? The third trait of a great con man is research. After all, a lot of the time you're gonna need social security numbers, IDs, and other intimate data on people. How resourceful are you in acquiring that? So now that we set your mind right, it's time to pick your rackets. In this more ever-connected world, there are ever more scams for you to choose from. Why? Because even though we've advanced so much, today's products, organizations, systems, and society in general are still made by honest, law-abiding citizens that don't think like you and I do, that don't think like criminals. Most companies are worried about making money fast. They're not gonna spend the extra time and money to make sure their products can't be broken into, so almost everything in society is ripe with exploit points for us to loot, especially in government organizations that don't involve the military or law enforcement.
They develop these technologies without ever going to the final step and saying, now, how would someone misuse this? And let's block that from ever occurring. They never do that.
There are lottery scams, IRS scams, investment scams, romance scams, charity scams, and many more.
When you're thinking about designing systems that are convenient and useful, very rarely are you also thinking, what would somebody who has all day to think about how to ruin this for everyone and steal from it be thinking?
Most of the time, the most profitable scams are gonna be the ones you find in whatever industry you're already in. You already know the ins and outs. You already know the weak points in the system. With a little thinking, I'm sure you can figure something out. But on the other hand, a lot of great opportunities come during bubble hysterias, whether that be during the dot-com boom, the real estate bubble, Bitcoin in 2017, and so on. If you're lucky and you're already in an industry that's going through a bubble hysteria, and you've got the right personality, get ready to make millions. No matter what racket you pick, every scam has two red flags. You want to ask the mark for money now, usually in an untraceable way? Or you want to ask the mark for personal intel, date of birth, mother's maiden name, social security number, etc. So pick your racket and let's move on to the mark. When it comes to picking your target, it's not a matter of how smart or dumb a person is. It's more about how easily you can manipulate their emotions to get them to trust you. Most people in this world are honest. They don't have a deceptive mind, they don't think that evil exists out there. It's completely inconceivable to them. The thought never enters their mind that the person they're talking to may not be who they say they are, that they could be getting scammed right now. And if you're sitting there right now thinking that I would never fall for any of this, well, you make the perfect mark.
It sounds to some people, oh, okay, that's cliche or it's antiquated, it's old, I'm never going to fall for that. I think people who think that way, that's the type of thinking that makes you a good victim or a good mark.
And you can easily spot these people out and about by that naive, innocent, childlike look on their face, the face of someone who hasn't integrated their shadow.
And I've seen this happen in my clinical clients when they come in and they're too agreeable. And if you look at people, you can tell, because the people who are too agreeable look childlike and innocent. But when the person integrates their shadow and gets the aggressive part of themselves integrated into their personality, their faces harden.
These are the prey you want to target. Once you have your target, now it's time to put the scam into play. Picking your attack point is going to depend on what kind of racket you're doing. But in general, you're going to want to find the weakest link, which is probably going to be a low-wage worker that isn't going to care to double-check things. I don't get paid enough to verify this stuff, it's not my responsibility.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop you. None of this matters to me, so I don't need the whole song and dance.
So now the weak link is some guy in a call center at AT&T or Verizon who makes $15 an hour. That's not a weak link that I want with all of my money attached to it.
Or it might be someone working on commission that's incentivized to overlook certain discrepancies in order to close the sale.
He knows I can get this guy a loan. Is there a fraud alert? Yeah, there's a fraud alert, but I can get him a loan.
Got it.
If I just overlook that, so I'm going to overlook it because it doesn't make sense.
A lot of the times you're going to need intel, whether that be a security question like what's your wife's maiden name to access someone's account or fake credentials. The great news is that today, people post a lot of this stuff out in the open on social media. Maybe you can call them and claim that you're with the IRS or police. There's been a problem with your taxes and we just need to confirm your social security number or address. This type of intel gathering is called solicitation. Or you can pose as someone surveying homeless people and we just need your social security number to get an estimate of how many soup kitchens we need to build.
At this point, I'm surveying homeless people. I've got a little badge. I know it's horrible, I feel bad. So stop judging me. For $20, they're filling out the form.
How would you like to make $20? Sure.
I get a Social Security issued, so I've got clean Social Security, I got credit, I got a house, I got whatever I want in your name. You're some guy that lives under a bridge in Las Vegas.
The only limit is your creativity. While the scam is going on, you want to make sure that you look the part. The whole just walk in acting like you belong there may sound cliche, but again, we're not trained to question whether or not a pilot wearing a pilot's uniform is really a pilot or not.
That when I put that pilot's uniform on, no one questioned that I looked too young to be a pilot. So it was amazing that the uniform was so powerful, people just saw the uniform, that's all they saw.
And by the way guys, these clips are from episode 1 of the Jordan Harbinger show, where Jordan interviews that famous con artist Frank Abagnale that was portrayed in the movie Catch Me If You Can. Really great interview that you can check out with the link below. If your racket is getting phony mortgages, for example, you want to look clean cut and to have all your bank statements and such to back yourself up. That way, if any discrepancies come up, like a fraud alert for example, people may brush it off more often than you think.
Even if it shows up in the credit profile when they pull it, fraud alert, Social Security number just issued within the last year. They disregard it right away because you're sitting there in front of them and I'm a clean cut guy and I don't appear to be nervous or leaving, so I have all the right documents, and if you need to talk to your loan or your boss or whatever, we need to get this taken care of, let's get going. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. They just keep going.
Like we mentioned earlier, the best con artists are really just amazing salesmen. So you want to use that persuasive tonality and body language to get them under your spell. This is what Frank Abagnale calls getting them into the ether. And there are 2 ways to get them there. One is by getting them feeling greedy. You want them to fantasize about what they're gonna get, about what they're gonna do with all that quick cash, to turn off that logical side of their brain. Smooth talk them into thinking that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. That if I act now, I might double my investment. That if I wire the money, this girl will fly over here and marry me. The other way to get them right for looting is to get them to feel fear. That hey, this is Officer Jake from the police department. We have your grandson here in jail. If he doesn't post bond, he'll have to spend the weekend in jail. So pay up. The more stress you can get them, the better. The thing you have to worry about is that once you get them under the ether, it doesn't last forever. Don't let them sit on this overnight or else they'll come to their senses. So really instill that urgency that you have to act now. Once you've extracted your well-deserved money, most con men will just run away. The problem with that is that if you just disappear, it will be obvious to your mark that you scammed them. They might report you to the police, things will get hot, but sometimes that's your only option. Ultimately, you should give them a reason to leave you alone. For example, when former FBI's most wanted con artist Matthew Cox got banks to issue him mortgages under false identities, when he stopped paying those mortgages and just kept the money, he would send the bank a convincing police report from his sister that he got into a horrible car accident and will never be able to work again. After all, tragedies do happen, so he gave the banks a reason to forget about him. And there you have it. Just like when a business starts taking off, once you've duped your first mark, it's gonna be pretty exhilarating, addicting, and you'll want to scale up. Good. But just know that the biggest temptation of a criminal is that when things start to heat up, it's always, oh, just one more hit, just one more job, just one more ruse and I'll be done.
Dad, it's over. I'm gonna stop now.
But it's never just one more.
You can't stop.
And like I've mentioned before, the more taking you do in a relatively free society, most of the time the angry mob of the public will eventually take you down. Which brings us to today. Back in the days, con artists had to go face to face with the people they were ripping off, so there was a little bit more humanity, empathy involved.
You know, even in the old days, a con man had a little bit of conscience about him.
Okay, I won't take too much money from this old man, I'll leave him a little. But today, most scams are done online over long distances. And without that face-to-face human contact, scammers are ruthless. There's no empathy involved. Kinda like Twitter. So unless everyone starts taking their online security much more seriously, as technology grows, so will the opportunities to loot. Guys, these videos take a lot of work to make, so if you want to support this channel financially so we can keep pumping out these video essays for you, don't forget to check out our sponsor Audible. I can say with 100% certainty that starting Audible has been one of the best decisions of my life. The audiobooks that I've listened to and taken action on has made me a lot more money back than the few bucks it costs per month. And even though they're sponsoring this channel, I still pay the monthly fee because it's completely worth it. The biggest game changer for me with Audible is that listening to audiobooks takes a lot less mental effort than reading a book. And the less friction you put between yourself and the things you have to do like educating yourself, the more likely you are to do it. I am very proud to have them as a sponsor and I think they are the perfect sponsor for this channel. And you can get their best deal of the year for Audible Plus for only $4.95 per month for the first 6 months, and afterwards it goes up to only $7.95 a month. You get full access to their entire Plus catalog filled with thousands upon thousands of books and more, and $5 to $8 per month that could potentially change your life is a pretty good ROI in my opinion. So visit audible.com/JakeTrend or text JakeTrend to 500-500 to sign up now. As you can see, we have a badass new backdrop behind us that I spent way too much time trying to align, and it's still not aligned correctly. And if you want to know why I chose these specific individuals, these incredible thinkers and doers behind me and the whole philosophy behind the setup, well, you're just gonna have to follow me on Instagram and view the latest posts because this is the perfect opportunity to photo you guys over there, jaketrend.io, link below. Again, shout out to my friend Jordan for the amazing podcast, and of course Valuetainment, who has the best interviews on YouTube in my opinion. That is gonna wrap it up for this video. Thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome. I've been Jake. Stay dangerous out there, and I'll see you guys in the next one.